Hello and welcome to another Ghost Stefana Story Recap. In this video we're going to be recapping Sony and Santa Monica Studios' 2018 God of War. Now, just to be clear, this video won't recap the whole God of War franchise and all 8 of its titles, just the 2018 game, which is the direct prequel to the upcoming God of War Ragnarok. Recapping the whole story would take a long time, but here's a very brief overview just so you understand who Kratos is. This is the very charismatic Kratos. He is a Greek demigod and the son of Zeus, essentially meaning he's half a god and half a human, but mortal, unlike most gods. Kratos was a famous soldier of Sparta before his life derailed after killing his wife and daughter while under the command of the Greek god of war, Ares. This earned him the nickname the Ghost of Sparta before he set off on a journey of revenge. He killed Ares and ascended to his position of the God of War, and he eventually went on to kill his father Zeus and exact revenge on a host of Olympians. That's another term for Greek gods. He didn't go and kill like Tom Daley and stuff. You'll notice that throughout this recap, and indeed if you play any of the games, that Kratos displays the same amount of emotion as this flower pot. But, you know, he's had a tough life, so cut him some slack. Now comes the events of God of War 2018. Kratos is now much older and has moved away from Greece. He lives in the realm of Midgard, which is the domain of the ancient Norse gods. Kratos hopes that by living away from the Greek gods, he can live a normal life as a man. We find he has settled down and remarried to a lady named Faye and had a son named Atreus. However, within the first few moments of the game, we learn that Faye has very sadly passed away, and we see Kratos and Atreus lighting her funeral pyre. It soon becomes apparent that Faye's last wish was that Kratos and Atreus take her ashes and spread them from the highest peak in all the realms. Now, personally, if it were my wife, I'd probably say no and stay at home with a nice warm cup of tea, but Kratos, being his ever bubbly and excitable self, sets off on an adventure to the peak of a nearby mountain. Before leaving, Kratos gets a knock at the door from Uber Eats. It would seem that Kratos didn't pay for his last McDonald's order, and the man slaps him round the face and fights him. The mysterious stranger seems to know of Kratos' godlyhood and also seems to possess similar godlike abilities. After a long and grueling fight, Kratos wins and snaps the stranger's neck before setting off on his journey to the top of the mountain with Atreus. Along the way, Father of the Year Kratos and his son Atreus begin to bond. Despite the God of War's cold exterior, he begins to teach Atreus combat techniques, but often criticises his progress. Soon the duo bump into this guy who looks like a smurf who is fighting a severe drug addiction. The man is Brock, who is a master blacksmith who claims to actually have crafted Kratos' famous axe many years ago. Atreus, while hunting, shoots and injures a magically shielded boar. We soon discover that the boar is property of a nearby witch who resides in the forest. While Atreus is outside of her home collecting herbs for the injured boar, the witch reveals to Kratos that she knows who he is and that the Norse gods won't tolerate his presence in their realm. She also expresses concerns that Atreus doesn't know that his father is a god, and in turn, that he is a demigod. Before leaving, as a thanks for helping her save the boar, even though we sort of did, shoot it, she places a mark on our bodies, which will apparently hide our presence from the Norse gods. We reach the Lake of the Nine, which is a giant lake in Midgard, which contains the entrances to the 9 realms of the world. When there, your mum crawls out of the water and asks us if her breath smells. And it does. This is the world serpent, the last living giant. The huge snake appears, however, to be friendly, sort of. Further along the trail, we meet Sindri, who is another blacksmith and brother of our blue friend Brock, who must have a different father. Once a formidable duo, they now work separately after a fallout. Sometime later in the story, Sindri presents Atreus with green mistletoe arrows. Remember that, it's important. Progressing up the huge mountain, we find part of the way is blocked by a black mist. The witch reappears and explains that it cannot be passed without the light of Alfheim. In order to do this, we must travel to the realm of Alfheim, which is the realm of the elves. The witch then takes us to a room in Tyr's temple in the centre of the Lake of the Nine. It appears that with a Bifrost device that she gives us, we can access portals to other realms. When in the realm of the elves, Kratos enters the Ball of Light in order to receive the pure light of Alfheim. When in there, he sees visions of his wife, Faye. Although to Kratos, he was only in there for moments, when leaving the light, he discovers he has been gone for a long time, during which Atreus had to defeat a huge horde of elves. Atreus angrily berates Kratos for being gone for so long, with Kratos seemingly discovering an element of respect for Atreus and his ability to fight. With the light in our possession, the duo dispel the black mist and enter the mountain. During the ascent, we are forced to fight a dragon, which Kratos rather impressively kills after I lowered the difficulty in the pause menu. We reach the summit of the mountain, but overhear four men arguing, one of which is the mysterious stranger who Kratos believed he had killed earlier on in the game. Two are Modi and Magni, the sons of the Norse god Thor, and another man who we cannot see. The trio seem to be pressing the other man for information before leaving essentially empty-handed. Kratos and Atreus confront the man who is trapped inside a tree. The man is Mimir, a man dubbed as the smartest man alive and famed for his knowledge. He was once advisor to the Norse god Odin before a disagreement led to the latter imprisoning him here on this tree. Mimir explains that the mysterious man is Baldur, the son of Odin. He also basically ruins our adventure by explaining that this actually isn't the highest peak in all the realms, and that it is in fact in Jotunheim, the land of the giants. But the entrance to Jotunheim was sealed and locked a long time ago by Odin, only able to be opened with a secret rune. However, Mimir does tell us that he knows a way where we can find said rune, but he must come with us, and as he can't leave the tree, the only way he can do that is to have his head cut off and reanimated. Seems logical. After dropping that bombshell, Mimir proceeds to warn Kratos that he should tell Atreus of his real godly nature, suggesting that Mimir knows who Kratos is also, in a similar way to the witch did previously. Kratos simply replies,
"I'm going to cut off your head now."
Lovely. We take the head to the witch in the woods, who recognises Mimir. With the help of her magic, she brings the head back to life, and Mimir awakens and recognises the witch as the Norse goddess Freya. Kratos, discovering that the witch is in fact a god, immediately distrusts her due to his previous experiences with gods in previous God of War games. Before leaving, Freya notices the mistletoe arrows gifted to Atreus by Sindri. She takes them off him rather suspiciously and throws them in the fire. Back on the journey, Mimir manages to communicate with the world's serpent, who, after biting the head off a nearby statue of Thor, tells us where we can find the rune. The trio are attacked by Magni and Modi, with Kratos eventually killing Magni. Modi warns Kratos that he has made a grave mistake before fleeing like a little bitch. We learn that in order to access Jotunheim, we must access a secret part of Tyr's temple. However, before we can enter, we are attacked by Modi. Whilst Kratos is being attacked by Modi, Atreus collapses, seemingly due to his godlike abilities inside him fighting himself, like Freya and Mimir warned. We take Atreus to Freya, who claims that she needs the heart of the troll who guards the bridge of hell. And Kratos is like, fucking hell, can we just give him some Northen? Freya reveals that Helheim is a very dangerous place, which we kind of gathered anyway, and that his axe would be useless there. Reluctantly, Kratos returns home and equips his Blades of Chaos, his old weapon from previous God of War titles. These weapons, although powerful, are now haunted with visions of Kratos' dark past. When equipping them, he begins to see visions of the Greek goddess Athena. Conveniently, however, some low-level enemies show up outside our home immediately after equipping the blades, so we can test them out. They are very good. We travel to Helheim and defeat the Bridgekeeper and retrieve his heart in the process. However, we then see a vision of Kratos' father Zeus across the bridge. Mimir warns us not to cross that bridge. And I'm like, well, now I want to cross it, Mimir. But I don't. I continue back to Freya and save my dying son. With the heart, she manages to cure Atreus, who, when coming round, overhears Kratos and Freya talking about his godhood. A little time later, Kratos explains his true nature.
I'm a god, boy. From another land far from here. When I came to these shores, I chose to live as a man. But the truth is, I was born a god. And so were you.
With the knowledge of his godhood, Atreus seems to become increasingly arrogant and, to be honest, a bit of a dick. Kratos again fights Modi before Atreus brutally murders him while in a weakened state, despite Kratos telling him not to.
You killed against my wishes.
At the peak of Midgard, the duo open the gate to Jotunheim with the rune, but are attacked by Baldur. Atreus, due to his godhood arrogance, tries to fight Baldur, but fails. During the fight, Kratos accidentally breaks the gate to Jotunheim. In a rage, Atreus argues with Kratos and actually shoots his father with an arrow. Kratos is naturally fine, and the trio's fight continue as they fall from the top of the mountain, but conveniently land on a dragon, as you do. Eventually, the bout leads to Tyr's travel room, and Baldur, Kratos and Atreus all end up going through the portal back to Helheim. Kratos gives Atreus a stern telling off for his recent insubordinate actions, like shooting him, and together they proceed to make their way out of hell. On the way, we see Baldur experiencing a vision of which we learn his true nature. He is the son of Odin and Freya. Desperate to protect him at a younger age, Freya cast down a spell, meaning that Baldur couldn't feel anything, whether it be good or bad. He can't eat, he can't drink, or can't feel the embrace of a woman. Baldur cannot feel anything, thus causing Baldur to live a life without any joy and to resent his mother for it. When leaving Helheim, Kratos sees a vision of himself killing Zeus, a vision that Atreus also witnesses. Kratos and Atreus return to Midgard and in Tyr's temple discover a new way into Jotunheim. In the process, they learn a bit more about Tyr. He was the son of Odin, but fought for peace unlike other gods and had a deep affinity for the giants. In order to stop Odin fighting the giants, he sealed the entrance to Jotunheim many years ago. Brock and Sindri, setting aside their differences and becoming a team once again, reforge a key for us that we need to progress on our journey. We soon discover the Unity Stone, which was originally owned by Tyr and allowed him to travel to Jotunheim after he had sealed the entrance. In order to get it to work, we must prove that we are friend to the giants. Fortunately, Mimir's illuminated eyes are a sign of one that the giants trust, but we need to find his missing one in order for it to work. The missing eye is kept within Thor's temple, which, as you might remember, was eaten by the world serpent. So we casually row into the mouth of the world serpent and retrieve the missing eye. While inside, we realise that the world serpent is in distress and for some reason spits us out, which is a bit rude, frankly. We then learn that this is because he was being attacked by Baldur, who emerges from the water like James Bond. Freya also arrives and tries to convince Baldur to leave Kratos and Atreus alone. Baldur emotionally describes how his life is with no feeling and the effect that Freya's spell has had on him. Eventually, this does lead to another Kratos versus Baldur, with Freya attempting to intervene by casting spells on each. During the fight, with Kratos restricted by Freya's spell, Atreus puts himself between his father and Baldur and is seemingly injured by a gut punch. However, he reveals soon after that it is not his blood.
Breathe, boy. Breathe!
Not my blood.
In punching Atreus, Baldur had accidentally impaled himself on one of Atreus' mistletoe arrows, which seems to hold the key to breaking the curse, which explains why Freya was so concerned when she saw them earlier. With the curse broken, Baldur revels in the fact that he can actually feel pain. Kratos defeats him in battle, but after Freya pleads with him, he decides to spare his life. However, Baldur, still resenting his mother for the spell, attempts to strangle her. Freya seems to accept her fate, but Kratos, being the general all-round nice guy, cannot walk away and returns and kills Baldur. Freya, crippled by the loss, states that she will get her revenge on Kratos and taunts him over his dark past. This prompts Kratos to tell Atreus the true nature of his past and reveals some of the bad deeds he has done in the past, including killing his father and many other Greek gods, and Tom Daly. The duo leave Freya to her mourning, and finally we arrive in Jotunheim, the land of the giants. The giants predictably are all gone, but we find strange drawings on the wall of a temple which depicts the journey of Atreus and Kratos, showing that the giants had foreseen it all. The drawings also show Faye, Kratos' wife, who was actually a giant, but decided to stay behind in Midgard to help Tyr protect the entrance to Jotunheim. This makes Atreus part god, part giant, and part mortal. Kratos also realises that Baldur was drawn to the duo because of Faye's ashes, not knowing that she was dead. Unknown to Atreus, Kratos also notices another drawing depicting his death at the hands of his son. The father and son duo finally complete their quest and scatter Faye's ashes from Jotunheim's highest peak. Atreus noticed that on the wall he was labelled as Loki instead of Atreus, and in conversation afterwards, Kratos revealed that Atreus is not actually his son's name and that his mother named him Loki, which in Norse mythology is a pretty important guy. Atreus instead was the name of a Spartan warrior, which Kratos chose to call him. With the journey complete, the duo return home for a nice cup of tea. In a secret ending scene, the game jumps forward a few years and we see the arrival of another Uber Eats delivery. This time, Thor, the god of thunder, arrives at Kratos' home, seemingly signalling the start of Ragnarok, which conveniently sets up the next game. Thank you for watching this recap. Don't forget you can subscribe if you'd like to see more videos just like this and reviews of your favourite and newest games.